What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Cullah Cast.
Number 42. Today I'm joined by the one and only Newski, Brett Newski. What's up, dude?
What's up, Ian Cullah? Thanks for hosting. Thanks for the hospitality.
Absolutely, man. Let me just move this
Great
over.
intro.
Yeah, courtesy of Tube Studios. Great. Yeah, we got System Seltzer on lock. I'm going to crack one of these open.
Yeah, I noticed because there's like different levels of alcoholism in each can. There's like 0%, 5%, 8%. So you can wean on or wean off, you know? It's good.
Yeah.
It's good for Wisconsinites.
Yeah, exactly. So you start at the beginning of the day with the 0%, then maybe you decide 5%, and then depending on how many you have, you can go to the 8%.
I'm on a quest for like 2%, you know?
2%.
I think the world is ready for drinking losers like me, party losers. Like I want to hydrate while drinking beer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially in the summertime. So one thing I've been doing is like, you ever mix like a fizzy water with like a pale ale or an IPA or a beer? It works quite good.
Isn't that really?
Yeah.
So you mix like a Perrier with a IPA?
Yeah, like no flavor fizzy water. Mix it with a beer. Like patent that, and I think that'd be worth money.
Yeah. Yeah, I think well, isn't that what session IPAs are for, right? They're supposed to be like...
Big fan of those. Those are even too
IPAs?
strong for me.
Yeah.
The 4%.
It's like the people when they made IPAs, I would imagine they never imagined people turning them into session.
No, I'm sure the original founders are just deeply offended, for sure. Like, these fucking pussies, you know?
This came all the way in the boat from India.
Well, they have you gotta love an IPA, but it is, that's for professionals. That's like, it's really heavy, really syrupy, especially, remember 10 years ago, the early era of being 21 years old and those IPAs, it was like Blackout City after two, you know?
A couple Four Locos, a couple IPAs.
Which I don't even think Four Locos still legal. No,
I think they changed their recipe. Like they got in a lot of trouble, I think. People were dropping dead.
Yeah, they were corpsing out on Langdon Street in Madison.
Yep. Yeah,
which makes sense.
I
dude.
could have been one of those guys. I remember a Halloween.
Yeah.
Four Loko in my hand, and then I woke up with a burrito on my chest the next day. That could have been my heart out of my body. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was serious, man. It was fun. One time on a college game day, a kid gave me an Adderall, which I had never done before, and then I was partying on Adderall, and I did sex, and I almost died. It was horrible.
Wow, you did sex?
I did sex on Adderall.
On Adderall,
which almost never happened in college. It was like
the Adderall or the sex?
Adderall. I did Adderall once. I did sex like maybe 4 times in 4 years. I'm not even kidding you. It was bad.
Late bloomer.
No,
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I don't even think I had my first girlfriend junior year. Then it was like once you have a girlfriend, then it's lots of it.
That's good. That's good for you. It's good for the confidence, because there's nothing worse for confidence than like having very little to begin with and then going out and getting rejected. It's just like brutal, you know?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, no, that college days, looking around, seeing all the beautiful women, seeing everything, and just knowing, and not even having the guts to even go.
Oh, it's painful.
Yeah,
it's painful.
And you feel it inside. You go like, I am a complete loser.
I relate to that so much. Yeah, I guess it's good to fail a lot early on and just kind of learn, and confidence comes with time, I suppose. I think the 20s, and especially college, at least to me, it was always like hyped up so much because it is awesome, and it's like you see American cinema, and it's like the greatest 4 years of your life. Don't let them pass you by. Really enjoy this time. It's never gonna get better than this. And I do feel like it has gotten better, because I was such a useless, you're 20, 19, you have no information. Everything's a struggle. It's just wobbly, so it's just good to accumulate some time in the rearview mirror and actually have some confidence, because life has been way better in the 30s.
I'm 2 years into 30s, and I have to agree. I tell young folks that too, like now looking back, being like, you were in your, 19 to 23, like you are a loser. Like not in a bad way, but
Default.
like
Just
it's like you have no money, you have no provisioning skills, you have no protecting skills, you have no experience, you have nothing that would probably be attractive to the opposite sex.
oh yeah.
So it's like easy to get down on yourself, but no, it's only up from there. And 30s are definitely the way where it's at with that. Like I feel pretty good about that. And college for sure. Definitely learned that. I learned a lot of lessons, like you said, and alma mater, right? Like what people refer to as their college. That's Latin for the nourishing mother.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's like it's an extension of motherhood in a way. So you're still kind of a kid. You're still being nourished. You're still not. I guess that's what's the idea, right? Like you're still not fully out of the mother's house into the real world.
Yeah, and I mean it's what an honor and a privilege to be able to attend like a 4-year university. Like it is amazing, and it was great to be able to do it. But I wouldn't do it again.
Yeah.
I don't think I would let my kids go to college unless they're going to be like chemists or like
exactly.
a scientist or an engineer or something.
Where'd you go?
I went to Eau Claire for a year.
Okay.
I got 2 underage drinking tickets. I got tackled by the cops.
Okay.
They would hide in the bushes.
What?
At the bridge, because the city got a huge grant from the cops got a huge grant from the city to crack down on underage drinking. So they would put like their intern cops, their young cops would like come to house parties, and they looked young. So they would knock on the door with like a rack of beer. They would be like, "Hey, you guys want to party? Like, I want to party, guys." And then it would be a cop would go into the party, hang out for 15 minutes, and then just bust everybody up.
Dude.
All the kids would go sprinting outside of the house, and then there'd be more cops with like flashlights and like basically low tier SWAT gear hiding in the bushes, and then they would tackle you.
Dude.
It was and that actually sparked. I was like, fuck this city, fuck this college,
that
and
sucks.
I transferred to Madison, which was the best thing I ever did, because that's where I like started a band and learned how to do all this music-y stuff.
Yeah, I went to Marquette, and they had a private security, and they would come in, and they knew they were kind of like if anyone's been to Marquette, it's a surveillance state. Like they know everything that's going on.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's not like they don't know what's happening. So now it's actually part of the police department, but at the time it was a private security, and so then they would come in and be like, DPS is here, and then but occasionally someone would get a ticket, but they would then have to, if it was a problem, then they would call the police, and then the police would come. So usually they would just let people scatter. And then if there was, I had some friends that got into some issues, but we had a roommate who was interning for DPS.
Ah, nice.
So he would give us
That's great.
Yeah.
How clutch.
Yeah. He would know exactly what to do, what to say. And sometimes he would, something happened, he would go talk to them, smooth it over.
That's cool. Yeah, I can relate to that, because Eau Claire was such a surveillance state. And then when I transferred to Wisconsin-Madison, which is known as like the national party school.
I mean, it's literally the heart of Wisconsin.
Dude, I could not believe it. Like I got to the dorm halls. You wouldn't be seen with a plastic cup in the hallway in Eau Claire. And then there's just kids partying, falling over each other in the hallways, open containers, beers, slugging liquor, guys in dresses just tackling each other. It was just like a spectacle. And the RA is like, yeah, well, I guess we're in Madison. I think like probably the school, it would cost the school a lot of money to like poo-poo partying, because it's like such a sell for them. So they probably tried. I mean, the school, the administration, they're not gonna poo-poo underage drinking. They're just gonna probably scoot it aside,
and then make some examples of some like edge cases or some extreme things. Or I mean, I think they shut down that Mifflin Street Fest though.
That's depressing. You can see why, though.
Yeah, I mean, I was there a couple of years, and it was the first time I ever experienced my cell phone not working because there's too many people.
Wow. That was the first time I ran from the cops.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Not the last time, though.
No, I started... Dude, once I started running from the cops, like, things just really improved for me. Because I was no longer getting tackled for, like, underage drinking. You just run. And like I wasn't like a bad kid. I was like a pretty like afraid, like wimpy 18, 19, 20-year-old. But yeah, running from the popos, it just solved a lot of problems, you know, because I was just peeing in a backyard, you know.
Yeah.
If they catch you, you get a big ticket, maybe you get indecent exposure, and then you're kind of fucked. So I highly recommend running from the cops if you're on foot.
Yeah, especially when it's something that's simple, like a ticketed offense or something small like that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, especially if you know that, I mean, did you do track?
No.
No.
I played basketball, but I'm a slow-footed sprinter.
Okay.
Yeah. Yourself?
I played soccer. I did a little cross country. I had major chest surgery when I was in my freshman year in high school.
Damn.
I had this thing called pectus excavatum, where basically, I don't know if you've ever seen someone who like eats cereal out of their chest or whatever. Or,
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I had one of those chests.
Really?
Yeah.
And you didn't want it anymore because you don't like cereal or what?
Yeah, no, I became gluten intolerant, so I couldn't eat most cereals. So then I was like, well, screw this.
Yeah, and you just went to bowls, like classic bowls.
No, we basically went to see a doctor because I was running and I was getting this like a lot of chest pains from running, and it was and they did some tests on my lungs, and they're like, yeah, it's not reaching full capacity of your lungs and stuff. And then they said, well, you're young, this is the time to do it. And basically they break your sternum with an electric hammer.
Damn.
And then they put in this metal bar, concave, and then flip it convex or the other way around. And then they drill it in. They drilled it into my rib cage, and I had it inside me for 2 years.
Holy
basically like
Lord.
braces for your chest. And
now are you like invincible?
Yeah.
That's sweet. Do you have any scars or anything? Or
I do, yeah. On like, you can see it here. They're still pretty.
Oh yeah.
They're starting to get better. There's another one on the other side, but that pain was nothing compared to there was an air bubble in my IV.
Oh.
And that
can't that like kill you and stuff? Damn.
Yeah. And that was the most painful. Like I had an epidural.
So they were just jabroni nurses or what?
One jabroni nurse.
Jesus.
Didn't let the pee overflow.
Oh my, so simple, you know.
Yeah, it was like things like that. I mean, it was at Children's Hospital, which is a great hospital, but it's just one little accident like that, right? Like it can be potentially fatal. But it was all this pain in my left, like top of my shoulder, and it was the most excruciating pain I've ever had in my life. I mean, breaking your sternum and putting a metal bar and all that stuff was one thing, and I had an epidural, which means they like literally like Matrix style, shove a needle straight into your spine, and they give you morphine straight into the spine.
Whoa, what was that like?
I don't really remember that much,
remember.
But I remember the pain of that air bubble, because everything was pretty like, most of the time. And then one day it was like extreme pain, and they're like, what's going on? And then they figured out it was an air bubble.
Man, you've been through some shit, dude. That's full.
It was wild, man.
Yeah.
But
was it was it a morning surgery or an afternoon?
I think it took like a few hours. It was morning. Yeah, morning.
I think
they told me not to eat anything, and then they gave me Valium to just like, make me relax.
Yeah.
And then I remember like going into the surgery, and then they gave me some laughing gas.
Nice.
And then I remember the doctor being like, the anesthesiologist being like, I love being an anesthesiologist because I can always tell a joke and the patient has to laugh. And I remember he said some joke, and I remember like thinking with every ounce of my strength,
oh, what a ham and egger.
Don't laugh.
Yeah.
Don't laugh. And I didn't. And it was just for a brief moment. I just remember, because you're uncontrollably laughing.
That guy must feel like God. He's just administering morphine, like people laughing at his stock jokes. Yeah. One of my friends was telling me, actually, this is good advice for the world. If you ever have like a medical procedure, an appointment, always do it in the morning, because obviously that's when doctors are freshest. But I have a buddy who does orthopedic surgery, and he was like, Brett, like, they work me to the bone. Like, I'll see like 40 patients in a day. It's impossible. In the afternoon, I'm like just swinging at guys' knees with an exact, like, I can't be. It's now a guarantee I'm not gonna fuck up this guy's knee. So,
it's good advice.
Doctors are just overworked, and go in the morning.
That's good advice. Definitely good advice. Because orthopedics. That's he must have a nice house.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's a
He never
surgeon?
invites me over. No, I think he's like a non-surgeon, but he's like a whatever the level below super surgeon boy is.
Yeah, I don't
Like
know.
he can still do surgery, but he's like the
Yeah, I don't know the taxonomy.
like the Jordan Love, like the backup quarterback of main surgery.
Yeah. Well, getting back to your love life.
Oh, sure.
I'm curious because you're always on the road. I remember the first time we met was a couple years ago, before COVID, I think it was, right
Yep.
before COVID. And you told me something that stuck in my head was that you would tour and play shows. I don't know which year it was. Maybe it was that year or the year before. Or you said something upward of 200 something shows a year out of three. Is that
I
is that
used to
correct?
do that. I did that in 2014 and 2015, maybe 2016. But now it's like I'm trying to do less just to maintain some mental health. So maybe it's maybe now we're doing like 60, 70, but
Okay.
we're still full time with it. I think we did 100 the year after the Pando. So yeah, still enjoying it for the most part. But it's definitely wobbly. Like I had a really bad mental kind of breakdown at the end of March, just as we're rolling out this album, and it was just enormous amounts of pressure, and a lot of it's self-inflicted,
Yeah.
because you know how that is. You put pressure on yourself. You want to do well. You want to not botch a release that you've just put hundreds of hours into. So yeah, man, it was bad. Like I was just I had panic attacks for like a week straight. I had to get on medication, and then your immune system goes to shit because your body's stressing. So I caught a cold in the middle of the tour, and once you get the post-nasal drip, it's over for singing. So I had like 4 days off, and I just got like $500 together. I'm like, I'm spending this all on rehab. I went to the vitamin IV clinic.
Oh, nice.
Got a vitamin shot in my ass. The next day I got the vitamin IV, and the vitamin
I
B
hear
shot
it's
in the
great.
ass. It works. Like if you have a cold, get that, because it like knocks your cold in half. It like my stuffy nose was like almost gone by the end of the day.
Can you administer it yourself, or you have to?
That would be cool, but no, the place downtown, IV Me or something. They have like super nice
Oh.
nurses that like are good at hitting the vein.
Yeah.
So they make you feel at ease. Sometimes you go into medical facilities and like the person's grumpy or the doctor's judgy. That can happen, and that's just like that like placebos you into like a bad mental state and actually
Yeah.
makes you worse. But these ladies are awesome. And then what else? I got a couple massages, and then I jumped in Lake Michigan in the freezing cold.
Hell yeah.
And by the end of that, I was like pretty good to go.
Nice.
And I switched medications. That helped.
Yeah. So your record is, what's the record in 2014 and 15? What was how many days?
I think we did hit 200 shows. If you
200?
counted like promo stuff, radio performances, balcony TV
Showing up
or
for
whatever.
something for 200.
It was
days.
more than 200, but I
Wow.
think 200 actual shows, which especially self-booking that was psychotic.
Yeah. I mean,
Like we could do that today if we had a tour bus and if you could just show up and play, finish your last chord and like be in a bunk on a tour bus. Like I could do that till I'm blue in the face, but obviously that's not reality. We drive around in an unmarked white van. So
yeah, I guess that brought that back to the love life, because it's like, how is that a problem? Because the girlfriend that I had in college, because I was I'd been composing music, I hadn't performed, but I knew that it was in my that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make some music, and I want to go on tour, and I want to do all these things. And she did not like that.
Sure.
She was like, no, that's very threatening.
Of course.
They're gonna be gone. There's always gonna be people looking at you. You're never gonna be home. All that type of stuff. She was very, among other things. So I was very young and all that stuff. But is that something that you've experienced with?
big time. I mean, like I'm really satisfied with professional life at the moment. Personal life, I feel good. I've been single about 2 years, a little over 2 years. And I've really just enjoyed that, being able to work on art full time, painting, touring, just going full throttle on it. It'd be nice to have a girlfriend. I think it'd be grounding. But it's not something I'm like actively seeking out. I think that those types of things, you feel it when you feel it. And, you just meet someone and you're like, holy shit, I'm going to dial back the work a little bit and work on this relationship, because you know how these things go. It's like they are work. It's you fall in love with people, and then if you go on a 2-month tour, it's kind of hard to maintain that.
Definitely.
That. So, yeah, I don't know. It's I've come to points in my life where I was clearly just in a bit of a trough and in need of a change, and just be like, really need a girlfriend. Like, really, it's time. Right now, it doesn't feel like it's time. But yeah, that would be my answer to that question, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes total sense. I mean, it's like a military wife or something almost, right? Like, unless they're coming along with you, right? And that's already, like, as you're talking about, like in an unmarked van, it's not, a lot of times they'll think like this girl had in her mind like sex, drugs, and rock and roll and all that stuff. And I would be like, it's not like that.
It's mostly just loserdom.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not like that at all.
Like the amount of times I'm just sitting in my van, like waiting to go play a shitty dive bar in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Just like, you know how that goes. It's like cold outside and your van is freezing, and it's just a lot of moments of existential crises, and it is great, and I love doing it and the whole thing. But it would be cool.
It's not Hollywood
to just have people see how funny and pathetic so much of it is. And like I've gone on some dates with girls in the last year, and they're like, "Oh, you're like a road touring musician. You must like just be doing sex all the time with babes and stuff."
Yeah.
That's the language they use. And I'm like, I didn't have sex once on the last tour. I have, like, after a show, I have nothing left. Like, I can't go out for a drink with someone. My brain is toast. Like, the plan is like, what's the beeline to the closest place to sleep?
Yeah.
Get me out of here.
Because you got another place to go to the next day. Probably you have to drive a few hours. You have to, definitely.
Yeah. So, I mean, how long have you been doing road stuff?
So I've started last not this year, but last year was the first time I did a larger tour, which I consider larger, not like 200 days, but we did 2 weeks straight, 14 days with a trio, East Coast, in a 4Runner. And yeah, and that was the biggest one that I did, and that was super fun.
Yeah, that's a healthy amount.
Yeah, that's why, and even that, like, that's why I'm like blown away at how much you've been doing, because even that took so much out of me. And it was really the being on the road isn't as bad as it's just all the like when you're saying self-booking and stuff, like all the stuff ahead of time, the coordinating, the tour management, right? Like the tour management, and then I'm also, because it's it was all under Cullah, so I'm accountable for all the liability, all the expenses, all the stuff. Like, got to make sure the band's happy, got to make sure we have a place to sleep that's not in a nasty neighborhood, and I got, I'm accountable for all that stuff. And so that was tough, but it was really great, and I definitely plan to do it again next year. But I liked the like weekends to Minnesota, or weekend to Ohio, or weekend in Illinois. Like, you can do 3 or 4 shows, do it every weekend, and do Thursday to Sunday. Those ones were like super, that's way more doable. Efficient, and like just hauling ass 8 hours one day somewhere, that's a lot of miles. And
that is the way to do it. When you get to a point where you're doing the 2-3 week runs and they're actually going well, which is a hard thing to do. You can have a lot of soul crushers on the Tuesday, Wednesday nights, but once
I didn't even fuck around.
Yeah,
with
don't
Wednesdays.
even bother. But when you do get into those runs where you're like playing every night for weeks, and it's going well, it does feel amazing. If you're like in a synergy with your guys and everyone's having a good time, it is like truly one of the coolest things that can happen, because it's like you get so tight as a band, and it's like every night you get to do this like magic trick where people are like, wow, and then you go back to your little van. But it's great. I mean, I don't know, dude, I think about like early in tours, I'm like, damn, I don't want to do this anymore, and then by like week 2 I'm like, let's book another tour. It's like,
no, I had so much fun. It was like buddies that they're my buddies too, and we had already played a bunch together, and by the, like you're saying, by the end of the tour we were so tight, and we only had 2 dates that were bad. and they're both the Sundays on the tour. But everything was pretty good. There was a couple that were like iffy, but we came out swinging in Dayton, like Blind Bob's.
Oh, Blind Bob's.
Yeah, like they were. Everyone was so
That place
nice.
rules.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I was so worried at first. I'm like, oh, the stage. Oh no, it's a restaurant. I'm like, oh man, what's this place gonna be? The sound guy isn't here. They have a backup sound guy. Turns out he was amazing. Like, and they were collecting entries, like fees, until the last song, the last band.
They're still
you know
going?
what I mean?
Bob's?
I hope so.
Nice.
Because I'd like to go back again.
Yeah, that was one of our early stomping grounds. Is Blind Bob still alive?
I hope.
He's an actual guy.
Really?
Yeah, because I went after a show once. I saw this guy at the bar. I was like, "Hey, man, thanks for coming," and he just totally ignored me. I was like, "Fuck, this guy hates me." And then like somebody was like, "Hey, that's Blind Bob. He's blind." and then they introduced me, and he was like, "Hey, great show." And then I talked to him for like 20 minutes, but
Nice.
yeah, he doesn't know I was.
I didn't
like,
know that.
talking to him.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, but
It's good to start off on a good foot, though. But yeah. No, I mean, I agree. Like, I mean, I haven't had as much on the road experience like as you have. I did a West Coast, like, small little thing. I had a big West Coast tour planned for COVID, but that all got canceled. And then I'm kind of in this mindset now where I've been convinced by a couple of people that it might not even be worth it. Like, something about 70% of all the market is east of the Mississippi, or some quote like that, where it's like you really have to
that's true, man.
drive like
That's true.
a whole day just to get to the West Coast.
All the people are on this side, on the eastern half. But I want to learn more from you, man, because you're like one of the most tech savvy musicians I know, and you do a good job of like, well, you don't play live as much. You like really do a good job of growing online from your home studio. So I'm curious what you think. I'm curious, A, what's been moving the needle for you, and B, how you're prepping for AI songwriting to take over the world.
The AI stuff, I'm not gonna lie, is a little weird. It's I don't think it's gonna change original songwriting as much, at least for a while, but it will change. It's already changed commercial songwriting for sure. That's already been happening. We already have people. I think Spotify just removed a bunch of AI generated music, but I talked to this company, Boomy, in Fort Collins, and they were like, yeah, we already have 10 million artificial AI songs distributed to Spotify.
There it is.
And I was like, and they basically outsource it to people to make it themselves, but it's really their, and then I'm like, well, who owns it? And they're like, well, we own it. And it's like, okay, this is strange. But I don't know. Like, I think about, I'm working on a new album that's coming out next year, and I have a pre-order that's going right now. We're at 40%. So if people want to go to cullah.com/2024,
cough it up, and
purchase a pre-order, that'd be much appreciated, because then we can actually do the things that we want to do. But the thing about AI, where I've generated a bunch of AI like with Midjourney to kind of come up with some concept art, but it just doesn't scratch the itch of working with an artist. So I'm still on the look for like a painter to like help make the artwork and stuff. So in my mind, it's like there's still going to be this need for original songwriting, but I think it's just going to be.
But can you tell? Like, can you tell if a robot makes a song versus a human? Especially
now,
in 5 years.
Now you can, but yeah, in 5 years, I'm not so. It's just basically going to be. We're all going to become prompt engineers, prompt musicians and stuff to a degree. It's just like, I think it's the same type of crisis as like the Gutenberg press. It's the same type of
it's not
crisis
bigger.
As the, I don't know what, that's huge. But it's huge, but think about sampling, right? How big that changed. Or everyone has a contact library, or like their keyboard has every sound ever in there. Like before, you'd have to hire everyone to do that stuff. You need a whole orchestra to play something you can just do in your pocket now.
So it sounds like people who make music beds for TV, film, that sort of thing, most of those jobs will go away first.
I would say, yeah.
I don't see any other way.
That's formulaic music that they want.
But that's also for you and I. That's brutal too, because
it's brutal.
Even though I don't make a shitload off sync, that's $4 or $5 a year. That's now going to Jeff or Donnie, Funbucks or Elon. So
Yeah.
I don't know, and I think you're right. There's gonna be some sort of music streaming platform that's gonna be like for humans only, and that could be big if people appreciate it and get behind it. You're an artist and an ultra music appreciator, so obviously you and I and you guys producing are gonna want music created by humans and have an appreciation for that. But will like just the general population even give a shit? That's the big question. They'll give a shit. So
it's a tough thing because. Especially getting into the area of, I was kind of hinting at with Boomy and who owns it, right?
What's Boomy?
It's a AI music company.
Okay.
And they just
crank out songs.
They crank them out.
Whoa.
And like you're going to be able to type in, give me a song like in the club in the style of Mozart, or something, and they'll be able to spit it out.
Okay.
And have Celine Dion singing it,
Okay.
and that will have that's already like pretty close. Like they already have a lot of stuff that like that will be able to do that, and that definitely will be in the next, like by probably the end of the decade for sure. Who knows? Like this stuff.
So everyone's a hit record maker. So
then music's already a like razor thin margins of streaming.
Yeah.
It's already become commodified so much. That's why. I think when it comes to the idea of who owns this, right? Because who owns the publishing, right? So those who know about music IP, there's the actual sound recordings, and then there's the publishing, which is like the actual melodies and the lyrics and the score, the written work, right? Like who owns these things? And someone sent me an article about some like hackers that went in and they published all possible things in public domain of like all these things. So I think we'll probably see the end of publishing in a really interesting way. That might disappear. Like that will become, everything will just become, I don't know. It is an existential thing. Like I think about it and I try to figure out ways to make myself feel better about it, but it still is very existential.
I mean, live music will have to like carry more weight. I would just hope so. And like
exactly.
Right now,
experience and community will be way more important.
You would think so, like because right now live music, it's not like a thing like your average Joe seeks out on a Friday. They're not like, oh, let's go see a band. It's not like the 70s or the 90s. There are music appreciators.
Like
live music concert goers.
Yeah,
it's like a very tiny fraction. So we can't lose any of those people, and we do need at some point for like the regular, corporate America accountants to be like, let's go see a live human band this weekend. That would be a big win, because like, I mean, at a certain point, if like fuckface McGillicuddy who lives on Bleecher Street and like works at Burger King, no disrespect to BK, can just start making like amazing songs on his computer, then what's the point of writing songs, and what's the point of putting them out online? It might be like, maybe bands could organize, we should all just go full analog and be like, you want to see humans, you got to come to real life.
But I would say that's probably what people have, like composers and classical people have already been feeling about a lot of contemporary music. Like they already feel that. Like every random person can just come up with, you can make an arpeggio, you can download a beat, and you can auto-tune your voice, and all of a sudden now you have, a song that you can distribute, and you can. But I think to your point, like live music definitely will be super important. But it's really about the community around the artist itself too. I think that's what is going to become more focused. It's like everyone has to really focus on their community, and making sure that
true.
People are in that, because it'll just be ultimately a tool for a musician. Just like a sampler is, just like the synthesizer is, just like those things. Musicians will be able to have tools, and it's hard to predict. It's hard to predict that stuff. I'm not going to say I know how it's going to go. Like it's just like with everything else. Like I feel bad for For visual artists, because I already use Midjourney for all my tour posters and stuff now.
What's Midjourney?
It's the generative AI for visual stuff. So like
Okay.
I use it for.
Let me see a poster you made. Can we pull one up on the production visual?
Instagram. Like there's one for the erotic, like I played with the erotic adventures of the static chicken, right? And I started prompting some stuff for chickens, you know. If you scroll down there, yeah, that chicken. Well, no, not that one. That's a real artist made that one.
That's terrible. No.
Keep scrolling down. There's a chicken photo.
So legitimately,
Wait,
you can make.
we'll do the Christmas one. That's a Christmas tree.
You can make a tour poster, and
so I made that.
Okay.
So I that Christmas tree
that you made as you a human, Ian.
No,
that was on
so
a
the
digital.
Christmas tree was made with Midjourney, and then I put in the text and put that stuff in there. So like, and there was a bunch but that one just fit better with like.
Got it. And it takes like 10 seconds, and it's like bam.
Oh yeah, it's so quick now, dude.
Whoa.
I use it for everything, like now for all that stuff because it's so quick. But that's what I mean about like, I want to make an album and I want this to be serious and I want it to like, I want to actually have an artist.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, yeah, that chicken one I think below that one is damn it.
Are you still having? I know we talked about 2 years ago. You got your music out and had some decent success with just uploading it to pirate sites. Does that still move the needle?
Bro, that's torrent stuff are dead, man.
It's
like,
done, yeah.
Back in the day, the torrents before streaming, before digital download, really, like when digital download just started to come out, torrents were by far the most efficient, and you could argue now are still some of the most efficient way to distribute information. It is a distributed peer-to-peer file storage. So everyone has little bits of the information on their own computers, and then they all kind of combine in this crazy decentralized way. And at the time, I would seek that out because it was just I was blown away with that type of technology. I was like, wow, this is amazing. This stuff is so cool. And I was invited by a friend whose cousin had a bunch of invites to this private audio file network called Oink that turned into Waffles, that turned into What CD and all that stuff. And it was pretty much the peak of that time. And I had released my 2009 album, E=MC Cullah, which was all just like, it's all about like time and space and hip hop and electronic music, which is like kind of what a lot of nerds love and stuff and internet people love. And so it's kind of like right place, right time. And I submitted it and I saw people posting their albums and they were getting some good traffic. And I was like, can I message them? Hey, I have this album. Can I distribute it with you guys? And then they're like, sure. And then to this day, still is the biggest spike on my website of traffic. They were just huge, just big thing. And I still have fans now that are like, I worked with the guy at this software company. I didn't even know. I worked there for a year. He was working in Denver, and I left to go study music in Ireland. And as I was leaving, I was like, oh, and by the way, here's my music. He's like, wait, you're MC Cullah?
That's hilarious. Nice.
Like, I downloaded that on Waffles like in 2009.
So were you able to like, did people like, are you still able to keep in touch with those people? Are they on an email list or?
I had a small email list on my website at the time, luckily, which I had just uncovered.
Nice.
Last year.
That's
big. And I added another 400 people to my email list or something, which was huge. A bunch of them were, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of them weren't in existence anymore. A bunch of people unsubscribed, but it was there. I got some big pre-order. Like
nice, it is.
Like executive producer,
sure.
Like big people that came like, oh my gosh, so
that's dead. So torrents are not popular anymore. What do you kind of got your eye on in the future for how to release music?
Blockchain.
Okay.
Yeah, blockchain is the way. It's like kind of the new era of the internet.
How does that work? I have no idea.
It's really early stages, so it's like kind of how I describe how a torrent works, where it's like distributed. There's a bunch of computers that all kind of like work together in order to make, but in blockchain you call it consensus, where it's like, okay, how do we, it's essentially an economic and governance layer built into the internet, meaning like instead of a bank and instead of a government like counting votes or a bank making settlements, you have this open source internet computer that everyone contributes to, that there's no central authority that decides what happens. So we have this like kind of like open, it's all those types of like open source and all those things coming together with new cryptographic math and all this crazy technology where now every musician will have access to the tools that major labels and hedge funds have, like where like you can have a piece of music, you can use it as collateral for a debt, where you can or you could have a song and have people purchase your rights for, like you can take your song and put it into 1,000 pieces and have people purchase it, and then they would get paid whatever you get paid. So kind of like
interesting,
like a company going public.
So it sounds like NFTs kind of.
Yeah, NFTs are a blockchain technology.
Okay. So what advice do you have for me or people who don't know about this to like get ahead of it and not fall behind?
Yeah, I would just recommend people like researching a little bit about it, and learning maybe a little bit about how this stuff works if they're interested. But it really is just kind of like keep it on in the back of your mind, because right now we're in economics, we're in a bear market with it. So it's like there was a huge NFT hype, right? It was wild, and all these people. There's I'm sure a lot of fraud and a lot of crazy hype and the FTX and all that stuff and going on. And now we're kind of in the crash of it. And so people are building, and it's going to come back up again probably in the next couple of years or so. Like just learn maybe a little bit about Bitcoin, like the type of that. How does that work? Maybe.
So Bitcoin's not going anywhere, huh?
I don't think so. It's, I mean, the United States government has like 1% of the supply of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. They just take it from people though.
I guess when do we start? When is the right time to start selling my first song to 100 different fans? When do I do that?
Well, the thing is, it's like the people that are using it now and the people that are in it now, because there's no hype like it was back then. There's a lot less people that are interested. It's kind of just this, like actually I'm pretty into that stuff. Like I founded NFT MKE, right, yeah. And I have a company called Firebird Media, which we're just launching our first application called STEM Mixer. Well, we're launching the program this month, and then we're going to launch the actual application, where people basically, you can have cross collaboration between many owners of sound recordings. So you can have like people coming in and here you play bass, I play drums. That person comes in, they can work across the country, across the world, across whatever. They can come make a song, and all the splits and all the licensing and all that stuff just gets automated by robots and independent, like smart contracts they call them. And then you can make governance with it too, and all basically, like I said, the hedge funds and major labels, like all these legal barriers and these financial barriers that most musicians will have, are just become automated and in your hand, just with your phone. But it's still like early. Like it takes a lot to like become in it. Like you have to download a wallet and you have to learn how to like interact with this, and every blockchain is different and they're not interoperable. So like there's a lot of, it's still immature as
you
a
guys
tech.
Getting this? Yeah.
It's a tough thing.
Exciting,
it's tough.
But
it's tough for me to explain to people, man. It's basically like the new internet, and it's gonna make half the shit's just gonna be automated, and it's gonna make remove all those confusing things.
So it's gonna. You think it'll ultimately help musicians, musicians?
I think so.
Great,
because and actually it could be like an antidote to some of the craziness with the AI, because it's who owns what, right? Like right now we don't know who is. Like when you have a traditional song, right? It's like, well, who owns it? Well, no one cared before we had sound recordings. Before you had to sell actual sound recordings to make some money, no one cared about who owns the song, who wrote it. Doesn't matter. I heard it the other day. Unless you're a composer with the big thing, like most traditional folk songs, all those things are just songs, and they'd catch on, and you'd play it, and they're traditionals, or traditional songs or standards and stuff. Whereas now it's just like there's a lot of emphasis on enforcement, trying to like, if something goes big, they just try to take as much money from it as possible. But with this type of technology, it's gonna incentivize collaboration, as opposed to like we're like people are like worried about sampling something or worried about making a remix because they don't want to get taken down.
Right.
They don't want to get, be.
That sounds cool.
So it's going to basically be like any big artist could be like, hey, community, make a remix.
Yeah.
And then they can automatically, they could just be like, hey, I made a remix. Hey, I made a remix. And they could just press a button, accept, and then they could be part of the album. They could be part of the collection. They could be part of a thing.
That's great.
And vice versa, right? Like,
what for you, what percentage of your income, and feel free to not answer this, but what percentage of your income is music versus other, I know you have like a couple side tech companies, and what is your goal for that pie chart breakdown of how you make a living?
It's like half and half now. I mean, I used to just be full music. In like when I went 2017, I went straight into music, and I put away because I did web development. I did a lot like in branding and all that type of stuff, and then I was like, nope, music. And then there's only so many times you can eat tomatoes for lunch, like. and it became a point where I was like, okay, I need to like. So now I just have like a steady client where it's like I run their WordPress and stuff, and the agency called Awin, and they, and I'm not like actively seeking that much. I probably should be getting more clients and stuff, but it's pretty much half and half. Yeah, like half in that web, but this Firebird Media is not making anything right now. Like we'll see this first thing is the first test, and it's a terrible time to do it. But we have to just keep moving forward, and we just have to move. And if we build an infrastructure, I want to be ready for when it matures, the bull market comes back. We have a product, we have people that are there, and that's the time where you could potentially make some money from it. But that's not necessarily like.
So where do you see like human beings and jobs being replaced just in general outside of art too? Is universal basic income on the horizon? How many human jobs are going to be left in 10 years?
It's tough to tell, man. I mean, everyone has that question whenever there's, they said that about the Industrial Revolution. They said that about, like, I think if you look at the Tesla bot, the Optimus bot, I don't know if you've seen that. They have a humanoid robot that they're building that's going to take over a lot of human tasks. And
is that the Chinese, the ones in China that clean your house and then have sex with you?
I'm sure that's going to be the first one. I mean, I don't know
how much those are.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are having sex with the Optimus just yet. But you'll probably be able to download an expansion pack for that. Yeah. Well, that's what they're saying, but because Tesla is building the AI where they're self-driving cars, right? So like that AI, you'll just be able to download. Hey, fix my car. You have to download, $200, download it. But it's tough to know. I mean, I'm not I'm not gonna pretend I'm an expert in other stuff, but like, I think a lot of jobs are gonna be replaced by AI for sure.
And then we'll be able to download languages into our own brains.
I hope so.
Which will be cool, but also that opens a whole can of worms. Like, we won't actually need skills anymore. Like, we'll just download them, and then there'll be like, why would you ever work hard? I'm not gonna work hard. I'm not gonna work hard on defense. I'm just gonna download like Dennis Rodman 4.0, and then I just can D up Shaq. Oh, now I'm in the NBA. Sorry, NBA guys. I have more money than you, and I can buy more microchips than you. So
yeah, they call it the singularity, right? When AI, because that's the thing about ChatGPT, which maybe you've heard of ChatGPT. They realize that the first time it does something, it's not as good, but when you ask it to check itself and fix itself, it's like 5 times better every time it checks itself.
Damn, okay.
So the idea is, the singularity hits when AI reaches a point where it will learn faster than we can program it. And then that's when you get that runaway AI where it can, because it can accelerate its intelligence much faster than humans. But, there's a great series of sci-fi books called, it's by Ian M. Banks, the Culture series, I think the first book's called Consider Phlebas. And I think it's called the Culture series. And it has an interesting, hopeful look on the future of like, there is AI, but humans have trillions of humans, and humans are also a collective intelligence.
Dude, I do want to hear more optimism about AI because you don't really hear people being like, this is going to be sweet. Maybe more in your circles, but like every conversation I have about AI, it always ends the same. It's like, oh, we're fucked, you know? So what's the good news?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of anxiety, and you want to survive in the world and have more fun and stuff like that. Like
I mean, really, like having fun is key.
like Brett Newski's book, It's Hard to Be a Person: Defeating Anxiety, Surviving the World, and Having More Fun. Which this is a great book, by the way.
Thanks. It's a book. It's a yellow brick. Fits on lots of shelves and coffee tables. You can also beat people senseless with it if the zombie apocalypse comes, you know.
So where can someone get this book if they want to?
So check this out. This is there's lots of pertinent information on here, like how to spot sociopaths, why Zuckerberg wants your soul, what to do if someone doesn't reply to your email and you're worried they hate you. So lots of like dumb but also useful like depression comedy and anxiety humor. It's just on my website, newskimusic.com. But yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with music, but it was just a thing I finished off during the pandemic, and it was kind of cool because it kind of glommed onto the culture in a sense. Like people, mental health was kind of in the chatter.
Yeah.
I hired a publicist, which costs insane money, but she did a good job, and I was on like Fox News. Like I think I was on Fox News. I was on like NBC, CBS. I was calling into all these shows. American Songwriter. So it was really fun. The book got some wheels, and it was a nice little moment in the sun. But I'm still out there touring on it.
So did you get? Was this self-published, or is this a published? You got a
self-published.
Nice.
So basically,
you recommend that to folks that are.
It's kind of the only way, unless you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you really know someone in publishing, because.
Or you already have books that have been sold, right?
Yeah, I mean, even still, like our numbers on that were like we sold through 3 pressings in the first 18 months, and like I sold as many as I could with myself, and my pops would like help me with the shipping, so we'd sell them, he would ship them, like, so he has been huge, packaging everything up, because if I
Pops
didn't have
in the
him,
fulfillment,
yeah, I'd be buried, dude. But as much as we sold of it, it was like I would send those numbers to publishing houses, and I didn't know anyone there, so I would just get like robot replies and be like, da-da-da.
Yeah,
contact this department.
From what I hear, it's very much like the music record labels and stuff, where it's like when you do get a deal, it's usually, if you don't move big volume, it's like, when do you break even? You know what I mean? Like they're taking probably ownership of the brand, ownership of the IP.
You sell one of those at Barnes and Noble, you make like $1.
Yeah.
So the move has been, and actually some people kind of on the fringes of this world were like, hey, if it's not broken, keep doing what you're doing. And so basically now it's in like 85 shops around the country, just fully DIY, going door to door when we're on tour. If I have an hour, I'll stop in like the local bookstore or like little hip gift shop and see if they're interested in it. And so I keep up with this on this huge spreadsheet, and then when I check in like quarterly if they need more, I take the orders, they PayPal me or Venmo, I keep track of it all. My pop ships out a box, and so it's a bit of...
Is that consignment? Is that what that's called? Or no?
Some shops consign, which is a huge pain in the ass for both sides, but most of them will pay wholesale. Like after you sell, like, you know, I'll start them off with like 6 or 10, and they'll sell through them, so then they know it's not a turd, and then they'll be like, all right, we can not do consignment, so that's good.
We get a quote here from Charlie Barron's: "When I'm on the road doing comedy, half my job is anxiety. Brett's book is a great tool for how to use that energy. And the best part is, when I'm too lazy to read, I can just look at the pictures."
Charlie
Barron's.
Yeah, we actually just did a skit together. Can we? Oh,
did we?
Let's pull that up. It's I grew up playing basketball in Wisconsin, and I was actually a basketball official for years.
Oh, really?
Youth, I'd ref games for side money.
Might have seen you.
And this is a skit we kind of bounced off each other and put together. It's called Dad versus Ref. I'm the ref, and Charlie's the dad slowly losing the plot in the bleachers, which is all too real for me as a basketball official.
Come on, ref. Open your eyes. Travel? Come on. That's not a foul. Get off your knees. You're blowing the game.
All right, that's it.
What, you gonna throw me out?
No, we're gonna unpack this.
What?
You can't seriously be this upset about fourth grade basketball.
Getting mad about fourth grade basketball is my God-given right as a dad. That and cranking the heat up. Put a sweater
I
on.
think you're projecting a lot right now.
Listen to me, bucko. I don't even own a projector.
You think maybe this has something to do with your own father?
No.
Did your dad yell at the refs during your games?
No, he was busy.
He never came to your games as a kid, huh?
He came to one. Half.
And how did that make you feel?
Fine.
Unsupported? Unworthy of love?
No.
Were you good at basketball?
Yeah, I scored a lot. Three-pointer. Layup. I even did the reverse layup.
I think we're onto something.
Ref, you should have seen me get those rebounds. Boxed out Tommy Zielinski. I put my ass right into him. I got the ball. I put it up. I scored.
Is there game film of that to show your dad later?
We didn't have these back in my day. They asked me to play AAU after that. Dad said no because it was $30 a tournament. They even had scouts there for intramurals, and they said I had a lot of potential.
All right, time's up.
That's it?
You'll get a bill in the mail.
Hang on a second. First session's supposed to be free. Come on, ref.
There it is.
Eyes.
So yeah, we did a bunch of back and forth, and there's actually a longer version on YouTube with a few like PG-17 jokes and just like slightly weirder moments, which I thought were fun. But yeah, so that was cool. I just can't believe how hard that guy works. He is like,
It's wild.
oh man, dude, he's putting out like stuff every single day. He's got like 2 producers. It's just, he goes hard. It's impressive.
Yeah, that's super awesome. Well, yeah, classic Freudian jokes there. You know, the always goes back to the father or the mother.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, it was a bit intimidating because I've always loved improv. We do like dumb skits as a band on the road.
Yeah,
and they're
they're
just
fun.
weird and they're free form and there's no rules. But he is like a pro comedy writer, so he's like, that joke is too weird, doesn't make sense. Like, this is how you do it. We have to fit in a joke here for timing. Here's this needs a moment or a turn in the. I don't even know the terms.
Yeah.
But like the tightness of the writing and how many, both producers comb through the draft and bump it up and upgrade it. And the production was like, it's just a lot goes into that 1 minute clip. Like, I could never do it.
That's crazy. Yeah, my sister's boyfriend has a bar in Bayview, and apparently he'll just go around to bars and random places everywhere and just show up and be like, hey, can we film something there? And everyone will be like, yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And he had something about a bar. I forget which one it was, which one of his skits, but it was, dealing with a bartender or something at his bar, and everyone was just like so honored that he's even there.
Sure.
You know what
I mean,
like,
yeah, I lost my train of thought, but ping it back to you.
yeah, that's super cool. That's great you got some big names on this stuff, like Steve Olvang of the Lumineers, and been Rolling Stone and NPR and Sirius XM and the Boston Globe and all that stuff. How do you get all these people? Like, I'm sure there's a lot of musicians and other folks that are like, how do you even get noticed by these people? How do you even get?
Sure. Well, I've been doing this pretty full on for about 11 years full time now. And just in that window of over a decade, you just inevitably rub elbows with people in your genre.
Yeah.
You have mutual friends, you run into them at shows. Eventually you might do a podcast with them. Like, that's a really great way to the podcast was huge for this recent record we put out, which was all collaborations with like
Dirt
musical,
on the Road, right? That's
Dirt from the Road's the
Dirt from the Road.
podcast. But so the podcast kind of spawned this album that we're touring on now called Friend Rock, where every song has a musical guest, like a musical influence of mine.
Oh, cool.
A lot of 90s stuff. But some of those came through the podcast because, Guster would have an album coming out, or Not a Surf would have an album coming out. And their publicist needs to get them press. Like, they got to promote the album. So I'll have them on the pod. Maybe we connect. They're like, oh, this guy's not a psycho. Like, maybe we'll take him on tour next time. Or and this was during the Pando, so I knew these guys were home and they had home studios, and good handful of them were willing to collaborate, which was cool. You know, you kind of like, yeah, relationships just take forever to build, you know, and it's just like a slow burn, and it's hard to not be annoying because you're excited, you know, especially early on when I was like really had a lot of puppy energy. It was just like I really had to hold back to not like irritate my heroes.
Yeah. Don't be over eager.
And I can think of times being on tour with bands where I was like, oh, fuck, that was such a rookie move, you know, where I was just like, I would never do now. But you learn these things as you
like
go.
What? What's a rookie move?
Well, like, just like picking up social cues. Like, you know, you load into a great venue. The headliner's sound checking. They finish sound check. There's like this 15 moments in the green room, just wanting to kind of go get a hang in, you know. And I wouldn't.
And they're just trying to like.
And they're
settle.
just like they might be burnt or like, and I wouldn't always be able to tell if they were like burnt out or like, you know, get out of here. So, you know, just things you learn with time, and it's all good.
But so it sounds like it's a lot of just. I mean, you just reached out to all these folks, right? You're saying like when you learn, oh, hey, album people are. You find the contact with someone, and you just provide an opportunity. Hey, I got this thing. Does this person want to be on this podcast? And then over a span of time, then and then those relationships develop. And then if you start with a podcast or start with an email, and then that could turn into this. And
totally. I mean, anything you can do for anybody else and like actually want to like help boost their signal or put some oxygen onto their project. I mean,
provide some value to them, right? Like
exactly.
Don't just come saying, "Hey, I want to pick your brain," or "Hey, I want to take something from you," or "Hey, give me knowledge," or "Hey, or I want this," or "I want this." It's like, "Oh, hey, I can give this to you."
So yeah, I think knowing when you have something of value, and sorry to sound like a used car salesman, but yeah, when you have something you can help somebody else with, like use it, like use those tokens or whatever you want to call them to kind of help your favorite bands, or it's anything's possible, especially now. You can reach out to anybody. Almost nobody's too famous because there's so much competition. Like, you know, everyone needs to kind of work and get their stuff out there, and it's this infinite cycle of content, as you know, so people need to be creating, and I love that collaboration is coming now into the forefront, whereas before I think it was more of just like a hip-hop thing or something, and now like indie rock's getting into it too, which is really great, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, stronger together, and it's better for cross promotion, you know, joint venture marketing, all those types of things, where it's like, you know, when multiple people have a hand in sharing something,
totally.
it carries more weight, and then other people's platforms, you know, build each other up, and you can grow that. That's a great point.
Yeah, and that's one thing we were talking about a little bit before the pod. Like, I would just love to do more collaboration within Milwaukee. You know, I think that's a thing that my class kind of blew a little bit, is like a lot of us musicians who are out working full, you know, doing a lot, touring a lot full time or mostly full time. It's like we never really collaborated that much or toured together. And I think that's just a missed opportunity. And you're seeing that with the younger bands like Diet Light and Social Sig, and some of these bands they're really like close friends and playing together, and they're like really cross-pollinating their audiences, and they're building like a real scene together rather than all these individual bands building their own followings. And I think that's
the big Turner Hall gig now coming up too.
Yeah. So I think that's awesome, and it's you know, it's something that I think my class needs to do a better job of, and I will try to reach out, but people are busy, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think collaboration, you know, especially with music, is something that I've just been so hyper in my own like hyper composition from so much, and of just like, okay, this is my vision, this is my thing, it's my liability, it's my thing. And now this next album, it's the first time I'm gonna be co-writing, like actually co-writing, whereas like coming to it being like, no, you're gonna write these parts, I'm gonna write this part. It's not just, okay, I come with the song, you're just a session musician, and if, you know, do some flowery or ornaments here or there, or hey, come up with new improv there, but it's still session.
Yep.
But the actually co-writing and being like, hey, this person's really good at this genre. I want to make a song like that. Let's work together to make that happen. And, and that it's like scary at first, because I think, going back to the point of like these barriers of entry legally, it's like, well, what does that mean? What are the implications? Who owns it? What is this? How do you distribute it? How do you do all that stuff? I feel like the more that maybe technology is bringing folks together in a way where it's like they can be together, and they can, hopefully a lot of this stuff can just be simple as pressing a button and being like, no, we both own this song. Or
That's great. I think that's a good plan, and even I think it's great to blow apart your creative process and do it upside down.
Yeah.
Do it differently. I feel you there because
you reinvent yourself always.
Dude, I feel it. Like, I've written songs in my bedroom by myself for so many years. It's I'm super keen to do it in a different way if possible, So, it's cool.
Absolutely.
Nice, dude.
How are we doing on time, guys? How was it?
Just over an hour.
Okay.
Cool.
Sweet.
This is cool. You got two cool producers. It feels really legit. Awesome.
Tube Studios.
Hell yeah. Well, let's utilize your cool technology. I've never been able to have this before. What do we got there? Okay, there's a Mother's Day picture on the right. Pull that up. This is my mom. She was making fun of me and said I look like Kim Jong-un, that I have a Kim Jong-un haircut, the great leader of North Korea. What else?
I can
what
see
else
the
is on there?
resemblance.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of collage.
Yeah, I
click
saw
on-
that. I saw the
so-
thing about the
Back in
collages.
Milwaukee, I
I'm
got
just
my
cutting up
Freedom
old
of
magazines
Florida
from like the
shirt
40s
on
and
from the
50s,
tour.
finding
Just
plywood,
putting them together?
gluing them together, and then painting kind of in between. So I was at Home Depot today chopping up wood and working on that stuff more. My Instagram videos are uploading kind of dark. You guys know how to fix that? If you do, please help me after the show.
Use CapCut.
I don't know. I just uploaded direct.
You should use CapCut. That's just amazing.
You know so much stuff, dude.
No, I mean it's everyone on TikTok is using it.
What's CapCut? It's like an
It's just
editing
an
program?
app. Yeah,
Okay.
it's so amazing
Nice. Okay. I'll download CapCut.
for your phone and
What
for
else?
your computer.
We're going out west. If anyone's in the Pacific Northwest next week, we'll be there. Boom, there's our tour dates. Seattle, Portland, Bend, Oregon.
Who's that?
That's just a weird tour poster our bass player Sean made.
Oh, okay.
Is
Is that like is it a snake? It's like forked tongue.
Well, here's the deal with this poster. That so he took. There was this lady at a festival in Georgia who just got hammered and like started punishing us at the bar. You know, a punisher is when you know what a punisher is. It's like where they just start talking at you incessantly and they don't stop and they have no self-awareness and you're just getting punished and you can't get away from them. Yeah. And so he drew that lady from Georgia. So hopefully she doesn't see that. So, what else is on there? Me in a Speedo.
What's one of the favorite skits that on the road that you guys have been?
Well, I don't even know if they're so stupid. But this moment, I found a slice of pizza on the right side. I found a slice of pizza on the sidewalk in Savannah. And then these ladies who were driving by just started taunting me to throw the pizza at them. So I was on the phone, and then they're like, "Cheese toss!" And then I just whipped the pizza at these old Georgian ladies. Bunch of weirdos. So that was fun. I put out a song with a French artist, H. Burns. He's one of my favorites. That's over there. This is a cool thing. We did a skit in the green room the other day in D.C. Play that one with Mr. Bicep in the middle. Bottom middle. That one.
What band are you in?
Brett Newski.
These chips, that salsa, it's only for Brett Michaels.
He doesn't play here tonight.
It's for when he comes back.
Oh. Just dumb shit like that. Like if we got 10 minutes.
And that's one of your band members, right?
Yeah, that's Mr. Bicep. He's the drummer.
And you usually go with a trio? Is that the
Trio all the way, dude.
Yeah.
That's the move for now.
How do you get the name Mr. Bicep?
He's jacked. He has huge biceps. Yes, sir.
Does he maintain his physique on the road?
Yeah, look at that picture or that video right there. It's us working out at a 7-Eleven in the middle. Oh, that's a different one, but that that works too. Yeah,
Some
see,
weight some body
some
body
body
weights,
squats, push-ups at the Quick Trip.
You need that to keep your blood flowing when you're
Gotta
driving.
get swole, I mean, it's really all that matters is getting ripped, guys. Let's be honest.
Probably helps the dating, man.
I don't know, but yeah, Mr. Bicep. If he wasn't married, no women would ever talk to us at shows anymore because he's a hot guy. Anyway, yeah, this has been a great time. Thanks for hosting. I hope you keep doing these.
Yeah, we got. There's no shortage of interesting and awesome people in Milwaukee, or that are coming through. Like we're even looking at maybe we can get some folks that are coming through Collectivo because it's just it's just down the street. There's a lot of potential of what could be, but
I think that's the move,
right?
I think
Like to your point about hey, people need PR. They need when I'm on the road and you're on the road, it's like anywhere that you can get your name out, fill up that afternoon or that or that day before if you're there for an extra day or something or whatever it is. Even if it's just a couple hours, and if it's down the street from the venue,
if you're doing it live, that's cool.
Yeah, and you just hop over, and but
it's not a huge city. It has big limitations as to obviously who can come on and do this in person. So I think you're right on with the touring acts.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. Who knows? You keep going. Maybe Chappelle pops over before. Stranger things have happened. So.
Yeah, exactly.
You just gotta keep trucking.
Well, yeah, I don't know if Chappelle's playing at the Collectivo, but
dude, aim big.
Fiserv.
Yeah, you never know.
Worth an email to PR
or whoever is Chappelle, one tier below Chappelle, maybe.
Yeah, well, there's a burgeoning Milwaukee comedy scene now too as well. We had a great comedian, AJ Grill, if you know him. But
I love AJ Grill.
Yeah, he has had a comedy special, and we had him on, and he's hilarious, and and said gave us a little insight into the Milwaukee comedy scene, and there's now a legit comedy club in Tosa. Was that where it was? Tosa?
Brookfield?
Or Brookfield,
Who's Milwaukee's biggest comic right now?
I mean, him or David Lewis, or it's tough. How do you measure that? Ticket sales? I'd say, AJ
Vanity metrics?
I don't know. Their Instagram. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Carter Deems, maybe.
Oh, I know Carter. Yeah.
He's not in Milwaukee, but he
used to be, right?
Yeah, he's from here.
He's great.
I had him on the pod.
He's great.
He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Talk about someone that his mind is crazy.
Right.
I was trying to go tit for tat on horse puns or something.
Uh-huh.
And, we were just going and exhausted. And I'm like, I got no more in my mind. I'm trying to think of more. And then he just comes out like, oh man, this conversation is really a nightmare. I'm just like, wow, man. Thinking, he's just got every,
advanced.
And the way that he does a sentence, and then he'll come up with two other ways to say that sentence but that sounds the same, but they're different words and different combinations, but it's the same sentence, but it has a different meaning, but it all makes sense.
Dude, he's probably a total genius, which I guess I wouldn't want his mind. I'm sure it's really wild in there.
Once I got him going, you can see I saw his mind and his eyes. He just started
whenever I don't know how you feel about this, but whenever I have a comedian on the podcast, I make a really specific effort to not try to be funny. Yeah. Because I don't want to look like an asshole or try to go tit for tat with Joe List or something, who's someone who's been doing it for 25 years. So but I do think comedians are kind of the way to go for guests, because musicians can be really weird and they can shut down and be introverted, and I just think podcasts aren't probably, it's not the natural medium for musicians, not the natural medium of expression. And
right.
I've had some I've had some episodes that were pulling teeth. I'm sure you have too, just about trying to get things going.
Yeah, there's definitely been of the 42. Yeah, especially when there's slim pickings. It's like, I was supposed to go live today. Got no guests. All right, let's see what we can get. But yeah, absolutely. Comedians, I mean, they're always practicing, right? And they're trying to be funny, and then that's good content. And then you can clip it up, and every joke, type of thing, you can just keep it going. And the energy. We get some like multiple comedians too in the same room. That seems to be like a formula that a lot of people are doing, where it's like, put two of them together or like a couple of them together, and then they can riff, right? So that I don't have to do it. And then I can just throw in one thing here or there.
It's great when you don't have to do anything.
Yeah, just let them riff.
How do you keep the pod interesting for you? Like, how do you keep it spicy so you stay pumped about it?
I mean, just the guests, right? Like people that I'm actually interested in talking to, that I feel like I could learn something from, or that I want to learn more about, or that are doing interesting things. Like that's really been my North Star with it, where it's like, hey, I want to bring someone on that I'm actually interested in talking to, because then that just naturally, there's no,
right.
You don't even have to do too much prep, like there's some where I have to do some prep. Like we had Willie Porter and Jason Klagstad, the Whammy Awards, and legendary Willie Porter and stuff. And that I needed to be a little bit more like prepared and be like, all right, what's going on? I don't want to, we only had a certain amount of time, and I want to make sure we get to the point. That was very like, we have these things to talk about. We got to do all these stuff. But yeah, I would say that's the answer. It's just like people that I'm actually interested to talk to that keeps it pretty spicy.
One thing I want to do more of, and I don't know if you've done any of this, is doing like podcasting trips where I did one where I went to LA for like a week, and I just compiled episodes, or I went to Americana Fest. I mean, you could go, you can get press credentials and go anywhere. You want to go to Iceland Airwaves Festival, apply for a press, do a bunch of podcasts. Like
You guys want to go?
There it is. So those are, and it might be tough to bring all the production and.
No, dude, I had it when I was doing it myself. I had a pedal board case, with one camera, and one camera, a laptop, and two mics, and that's all you need.
God, I gotta get a camera. I'm such a chump with video.
Video helps with some stuff, like it doesn't need to be, but I've been lacking on I haven't even uploaded this recent stint of audio. Well, I got to do that tonight. Start doing that. I finally got in. I used to Anchor, but it got acquired by Spotify. The podcast game is bizarre because it's like there's so much content and there's all this stuff. I don't know. It all is very sketchiness, where it's like there's already razor thin margins with songs, and these are like things that people dedicate so much time to make these beautiful songs. And then podcasts are just hours of content with a bunch of probably songs in there and a bunch of other things, and you're getting pennies on the dollar with that too.
So do you think podcasting for you personally, do you think you want to keep doing it? Does it have longevity? I mean, I don't make any money off the podcast.
I think I got $12 in my wallet of,
that kind of stuff.
Or from all of it, but
it's not. I mean, you don't do it for the money.
You get some delicious system seltzer.
Yeah.
And you get to talk to some awesome people and learn, and like you were saying, like you can build relationships, right? That's the one thing that I learned. Like someone to reach out, hey, we got this opportunity to do this. I'd be like, you want to come on the podcast? They'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
No,
And all of a sudden, or it would be like, instead of I want to pick your brain, I really want to know what this person thinks. I really want to know their ideas about this and this. Instead of me emailing and say, hey, can you want to get coffee sometime? Say, hey, come on the podcast. All of a sudden now I have an hour where I can actually ask these same questions that I probably would have asked getting the coffee.
Gives you a great excuse to talk to your musical heroes too, or whoever. Exactly. So yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, like the medium is just so flooded now. Are people seeking out new pods? Because I don't anymore. I go with my like old standbys. I don't know about you guys, but you get your 4 or 5.
I think it's all about the clips now. Like that's the way the discovery is all through clips. It's all through the like short form. Find the little funny moment. What's the funny thing Brett said early at the beginning of the episode? Let's clip that up. Let's put it out. I mean, Social Sig's been doing that, and that you can see some of those clips blowing up, and they like. That's how people might discover it, because that's what Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and all those things are prioritizing. as the those short clips, and then that might bring you into the pod, where it's like it's tough. I mean, I have my fans and stuff, but it's like, and it is random. Like I went and looked at the analytics, and Kyle Kanowski was like, his podcast just like went up for some reason. And it was my most recent one, but it was like, wow, that just like recently, just within the last couple of weeks, and I haven't even uploaded anything for a year on audio. So it's just like, and I know he like went on tour and he started going around, or like all of a sudden Carter Deems has something going on, and all of a sudden his thing goes up. So you never know, like.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like who's there? People go searching for them.
So those old episodes still work for you, kind of?
If the people, especially if those guests are, their careers continue to build, right? And people want to like search for their interviews.
Yeah, that's one piece of advice a fellow podcaster gave me is like, we actually get the most growth from artists on the way up versus huge artists, because there's not as much on them for people to seek out. So.
And if someone's a big fan of someone, they're going to be searching the depths of things and being like, I want to find out every interview of this person. I want to see everything I can find.
Dude, it is crazy. There could be like a kid in like Lebanon and like living in a silo right now, like obsessed with Cullah, listening to this podcast,
There's a few.
So wild.
There's a few in Russia, and then shout out to all the Russian and Polish and and Dutch and
the Dutchman.
Turkey.
The Polacks.
I was talking to a lady in Turkey today.
No shit.
Great.
Isn't that cool?
It's
that
beautiful.
alone is like reason. That's just like super inspiring.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. I would love to go to Turkey and Istanbul and Poland. Have you toured in Poland?
I've played one show there. I played in Krakow. I'm Polish, so I'm trying to actually do a proper tour there.
In Newski.
I mean, I'm like a failed Polish person because I don't speak Polish, but it would be cool to do like a home roots trip,
I'll go with you.
They love rock and roll over there. It's just...
And they're my number 4 pretty consistently, like in Spotify and all that stuff. And
nice.
Through a bunch of YouTube Polish influencers using my music. And
nice.
so then,
and like, how did they find it?
freemusicarchive.org.
And so that still is working for you? Or
They're back. They died. It died, and now it's back again. I mean, I don't know. I have to get back more into it. But
well, help give me advice. What's kind of the thing that's moving the needle for you musically to get discovered to new people now?
I mean, it's still that, that Free Music Archive and like they're back again. But it's really just it's kind of like leftover stuff from before. I haven't really been actively seeking, like going after that stuff as much lately. I've been kind of more focused on, okay, I want to build my own, like I started Free Music Land.
Yep.
And now I'm doing this Firebird, which hopefully will be like this, I actually have a co-founder that's like an insane blockchain developer from Cape Town. And so like now, because I was building a lot of the stuff on my own, and it's just like exhausting, and I'm like just mediocre at best. So he's like an actual expert and really good at it. So we want to be able to provide that.
Go to Cape Town.
Well, I mean, yeah, I would love to. If this when we finish this thing, it goes well. Definitely would love to.
That's one of my favorite cities on the planet.
Really,
it's unbelievable. I mean, it's not good for music per se, but just as a place to go and hang out, it's.
Here, the power situation there is bizarre.
Load shedding. So you'll just they'll be like, no power for you from
10 hours,
4 to 9. And then you'll like have to go to the neighboring neighborhood to like get power, or you just sit in darkness.
Well, he's got a whole generator rig, because he like has a server farm and shit in his house, because he runs all this. His whole business requires these farms and these things to be working.
Damn.
So like he has a whole setup, and he's constantly.
Dude, he's like the MacGyver.
You have to if you want to survive there. Like you need uptime. You're a developer. You have he manages with different agencies and stuff.
Dude, but if he's making US dollars or euros and living in South Africa, he's balling.
Yeah, I mean,
because their currency
even
is
better, Bitcoin
poopy.
and ADA.
Yeah. Bitcoin and all that's.
All right, before we go,
advanced.
let's get some comments. We got some comments from people. Let's read what people are saying.
Nice.
We got Andrew J. Lynch from YouTube saying, that basketball skit was hilarious, Brett. I can't believe 2 of my favorite musicians are hanging out right now.
Aw.
Hey,
thanks,
what's up, Andrew? Thanks,
Appreciate
dude.
it, man.
Associate producer for Cullah, executive producer for Firebird. Shouts out to Andrew Lynch. Might have an appearance in the upcoming music video for The King as well. So shouts out to Andrew.
Dude, I want to be in your music video. Let me be like a pizza delivery guy or something.
Right before the beheading, does someone order?
Yeah.
Someone
Exactly
order
what I had in
pepperoni?
mind. Yeah.
And then we have Smoky Water Studio that said, I made a YouTube short and it got 600 plus views in a day. My most viewed long video only has 235.
Yeah, some proof positive there for shorts.
So YouTube Shorts are the answer?
Shorts are the answer. I mean, and you already got the Instagram ones, so
Damn.
so just post those.
Yeah, I forgot I need to do that. There's too much stuff.
I know, it's so
Oh,
much
my
stuff,
Lord.
man. So much stuff. You need a
Brutal. All right, who else? Anyone else on there?
That's it for now.
Okay, cool.
Right on. All right, man. Well, I think it's a good place to end it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Ian.
thanks for coming, man.
You're awesome, dude. You're super advanced and your music kicks ass too. So
Hey,
yeah,
likewise.
keep trucking. Let me know if I can help with anything.
Likewise. Yeah,
sure.
just a couple MK bros.
Yeah.
Just trying to make it.
Yeah, dude. It's I don't meet a ton of people in town like really going balls out all the time. So it's good to see
Yeah.
you going for it. you
Well,
know?
the balls are out
Yeah,
and vulnerable, and
got to do it. Long red sack,
yeah,
swinging in the wind.
men
baby.
men have the genitalia on the outside for a reason.
That's your next hit. Unfortunately, that's the kind of shit that does well on the internet. That's a meme song.
Clip it.
Boom.
All
Thanks,
right, guys.
dudes.
Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for listening. Until next time, peace.
Peace.